Hi, I'm Eleni Capitanios from Breakthrough with Eleni, and welcome to the No Bullshit Breakthrough, where I try to give you real, simple information about the work I do as a rapid relief coach. So today I'm going to be talking to you entrepreneurs, you business people, and we're going to be talking a little bit about overwhelm and diving into that beast a little bit. Everybody's overwhelmed these days, right? Everything is busy, crazy things are going on all over the world. And so many of my clients are struggling with the feeling of overwhelmed, of not being organized, of anxiety, all kinds of stuff, right? But a lot of my clients are successful entrepreneurs, and I feel like it's a little bit different. And speaking as one myself, I can say that there's a lot that goes along with it. And the reason I really stress working on your personal stuff before you start to work on the business stuff is because nothing brings your shit to the surface like having your own business. It is interlinked. You know, people can say all they want, you aren't your business. And you aren't, but you are, right? It's very different than working for someone else and knowing you're going to get a paycheck regardless of whether you've been sick or whether you've produced or whatever, right? And again, there's stresses that go with each thing, and I totally get it. But right now we're talking about overwhelm, and careers can be overwhelming too. But I feel that entrepreneurs have a very separate set of, reasons why we create that overwhelm. So I'm going to go through a few of them here, and then, you can let me know what you think. So one thing that we do is I think that we set really high expectations for ourselves, right? We have high expectations for ourselves, for our teams, maybe even our clients, right? And it is overwhelming to try to live up to them. And so many of my clients have this where you put so much pressure on yourself that you end up procrastinating because we set these super high expectations for ourselves, right? And we're so afraid of not being able to reach them that our brain is like, yeah, I'm out. This is too scary. This is freaking me out. And it won't allow you to do the things to get to the place where you want to be. And if you feel like this resonates, then you're probably a perfectionist also. People that have perfection things or sometimes even control things, it can be great because you pay attention to detail. You want to get things done, right the first time. You don't want to fail, but you're always going to fall short of your expectations, right? There's no such thing as perfection. It's not a real thing. But we make it real because we create our own reality, right? And as we know, if you've listened to any of my podcasts, that our brain or our unconscious mind wants to protect us all the time, right? So when you put that crazy pressure on yourself and end up procrastinating, it's a protection, right? That fear, fear of not being perfect, the fear of not being able to reach them, or sometimes the fear of reaching them also, but maybe that's another thing. And your unconscious mind wants you to feel good. And it might think by feeling good, I am not going to allow this thing to happen, right? So you're self-sabotaging the whole time. So what do we do, right? Well, I think you have to sit and think about what is perfect, right? There is no such thing as perfect. And to get to a place where I don't want to say everything is perfect, but say where things are flowing. I always aim to be in flow and in alignment, right? It's different than being perfect. And if we start to think about, well, what is going to create that for me? It's going to be some failing, right? Some missteps, because we need to figure out what doesn't work before we know what does work, right? So I think it's so much more beneficial to jump in and take those risks, and maybe it fucks you up, maybe it's awesome, but you're not going to know, and then you're not going to be able to retool things until you take those steps, right? So when you set those super high expectations, maybe we can say something different. Maybe we can say goals, or, think about different ways that you can reach those goals or expectations so that they're not so high that they feel insurmountable and make you feel crazy, right? The other thing that we do is, I find that entrepreneurs have a lot of fear, and it's so easy to focus on those fears. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being able to provide for your family, right? Feeling like a failure if your business is not where you want it to be, right? And especially, during the pandemic, businesses have had to completely retool what they're doing. A lot of people have gone out of business. There's so much fear here, right? There's so much stress, fear, overwhelm. And as we know, what you focus on grows. And it is very hard to not focus on fear, right? It's like when someone says, don't see the elephant in this picture, right? Of course, that's what you're going to focus on. That's what you're going to see, right? But when you focus on that fear, first of all, it takes you down a horrible spiral of emotions, but also it creates more fear and it paralyzes you. And sometimes when you're making decisions from a fear place, you're not making clear decisions, right? You're not taking positive risks. If you're making decisions from fear, it's going to often create not a good outcome, right? So in your mind, when you're thinking, oh my God, I hope I don't go under. Oh my God, I hope I don't mess this up. Oh no, what if nobody comes and eats at my restaurant or whatever? Of course, it's going to overwhelm you. Your brain is going to be full of that fear and full of those negative thoughts. And odds are you're going to create that reality for yourself, right? So what can you do instead? So I always tell people to focus on what you want. We all know what we don't want, 100%. I do not have to work hard to think about what I don't want. But let's flip it and think about what we do want, because this can lead you in a very different path. And sometimes it's very hard to, force your brain to go think of that, but it's really valuable, because when you're thinking about what you want, that is when you're going to have those inspired ideas, where you just get those ideas out of the blue, right? A lot of people think that's sort of almost like a divine inspiration. I think it is when you declutter all this crap and fear from your unconscious, those ideas come to you. Often when I used to run, I'd be out on a run and I have this really cool idea for my business. It's because I'm not focusing on fear or trying really hard to think of a solution. I was just in flow, I was in the zone, and things just came to me. The other thing that you can do for fear, obviously, is figure out where it's coming from and release it, right? Like I do with my clients. You can do journaling around it. But what also helps me is figuring out all kinds of different outcomes, right? What are different possibilities that could happen here? If this happens, what are some possibilities? And it makes you feel more in control. And it can also spark a lot of really cool ideas, because when you're in fear, you're not going to be in flow, right? Put that up on a bumper sticker. So the other issue that we also all have as entrepreneurs is that meeting the expectations of others, right? So sometimes it's not only your own expectations about yourself and your business that create that overwhelm, but other people's expectations of you, right? It can be from clients, it can be from investors, it can be from employees, it can be from a whole different bunch of areas, right? And when you want to please all these people, it is overwhelming. My husband has a contracting business and he's so busy and he wants to help everybody. And he gets so overwhelmed by all the messages that he gets from potential clients because he wants to make everyone happy and help everyone. Well, you can't, right? You can't. It's going to kill you. So, it's almost like if you please one side, you're going to disappoint someone else, right? Or if he takes on all of these clients, he's going to be exhausted or possibly get injured because he's overworking, right? And especially for us who are people pleasers, it's so overwhelming to be in this kind of double bind situation, right? Where you're kind of fucked if you do and fucked if you don't. And it can paralyze you. You can almost, get to a point where you can't make any decisions. You don't know what to do. You always feel like you're letting people down or that you're losing control of your business, right? All kinds of negative emotions. So if this sounds familiar, you need to let go of that people pleasing, right? And this is the part where you want to separate that self, that I, from the business, right? And really learn to be clear in what's a business decision and what is a personal decision. And realizing that you can't control other people's emotions, right? All you can do is your best. And some people are going to hate it and some people are going to like it, right? But these are important decisions that you need to make. And people are coming into relationships with their own shit. So, I always say you could give someone $1 million and they can be mad at you because you only gave them $1 million, right? So a lot of that people-pleasing energy can be worked through by the realization that you're not responsible for how other people feel. You just have to do your best, and that's all you can do. Another thing that happens is you don't have any more personal time. How many of us know what it's like to feel like to either be working your business all the time or feel like you should be working in your business all the time? It's really hard to detach, right? You might work through weekends, dinner, leave activities and fun things early because you have to deal with business stuff. So if you start to do that, you're going to burn out, right? That's not setting clear boundaries around your business and your personal life. And I know they can get blurry. I totally get it. I'm guilty of this myself, right? And you have to think about a clear vision. Again, focus on what you want and what you want your lifestyle to be like, right? So I have a 5-year vision. It's not just financial. It's what I want my life to be like at that 5-year mark. And I think if you get overwhelmed in the moment, think about that plan, think about that future, and think about, is what I'm doing now getting me closer to reaching that goal, right? And is what I'm doing now actually maybe going to, if you're creating overwhelm for yourself right now and stress and anxiety because you can't take any time for yourself and you're going to struggle with burnout, that's not helping you reach that 5-year goal or whatever your goal is, right? So you want to keep that focus on what you want clear and set clear boundaries for work time and personal time. And sometimes you're going to be a little bit out of balance, right? Sometimes you're going to be launching a new product and it's going to be crazy for a while. That's okay. Take time off when that's done, right? Recoup, recharge so that you can get back to work and be a better version of yourself, right? The other thing is a lot of us struggle with organizational systems. Now, I love systems. It is my jam. I love finding a new business system and figuring out how it works. Not everyone is like that. My husband is not like that at all. Those kinds of things make him want to die. So create a system that works for you. Create a system where you're going to be able to organize yourself, right? So like day to day, things are flowing more easily, right? So the system that I have that I just started using, everything runs together, right? So when someone books an appointment, it automatically creates a Zoom meeting and sends reminders. I don't have to worry about that. That was an extra step that I was doing in my business, right? When I invoice a client for the first time, they automatically get sent a contract and an email about logging into the app. Done. Don't have to think about it, right? And I mean, my business is not very complicated. Some people have payroll and all kinds of things. So create a system that works for you. Spend a little bit of time getting familiar with it and then just do it, or delegate, okay? Find people who are good at things that you're not good at, or who like to do things that you don't like to do. There's things in my business I hate doing. And fairly recently, I've been getting people to help me with that. So don't be worried about delegating. And sometimes, when you think about what an hour of your time is worth, paying somebody a little bit of money for a few hours a week makes you 20 times more productive, right? So think about that. And there's no guilt or shame around it. I think a lot of business owners feel like they have to be everyone to everyone and do all of the things, but you can't, and you're not good at all of the things, right? It's that whole difference, if you've read the E-Myth about working on your business or working in your business. If you only work in your business, you have a job, right? And it's really tough for me to get also because it's really just me, although I have people who do work for me in my business. But, it's tricky, and we need to learn to let go of control. I think a lot of business owners, a lot of my clients who are business owners or CEOs, they are control freaks, right? Myself included. Type A people like to be in control, which is great, but you also can't control everything, right? And, give control to other people who can represent you. And I think that when we look at all the things here that I've talked about, if you start to work through each piece, you can be a lot happier, right? Because the more overwhelmed we are, the more anxious we are. And the more anxious we are, the more stressed we are. And then the more we work because we feel like we can't stop working. And there's all kinds of guilt around that. And it goes on and on and on, right? And it's almost like you're not in control of your life. And the reason that personally I chose to have my own business is because I wanted to have control of my life. It's also because I really can't be told what to do. That makes me insane. I'm an adult. Don't tell me when I can take a vacation. Don't tell me that I can't go to a doctor's appointment. I hate all that shit. But also I want to be in control of my life, my schedule, and my income. So think about what's important to you, right? Get that 5-year vision in place. Focus on what you want and do things for yourself that are going to, in turn benefit your business. Because if you're the face of your business and you're an overwhelmed stress case, that doesn't look good anyway, right? So finding that balance, that feeling of flow and that feeling of alignment, I feel like that is a great focus for me. I'm trying to work more and more towards that. And sometimes you're going to be out of balance, right? Because you're, launching something or, you have a big project to do. That's okay. But know that you're going to get back into balance when that is done, right? It's short-lived. So I think some of us just see this endless stream of work and there's no way out. And there is a way out, right? And I think realizing how you create your reality and what do you want to create. So those are my deep thoughts, guys, on entrepreneurship and overwhelm. Are you overwhelmed? Are you a business owner who freaks out all the time? Let me know what you think. Is there something here that I didn't cover that you're struggling with? I will do a podcast about it. Please make sure to subscribe to my podcasts on Google Play, Apple, Spotify. I think I'm also available on Amazon now. And if you like what you're hearing, please, please, please leave me a review. I would so appreciate it. I will see you next week.